what's up. It's the next day. Well, it's actually a couple days later, but I'm out here working on the engine again. What I'm going to do now is check ring gap. And now when I had the engine apart the very first time when I had to swap out the piston, I did check a couple, or maybe I only checked the one I did the piston on, but anyways, it was good. It was like 26, 28 worn already, so it's like good to go. So what I got here is, here's the bent rod deal, and here is the new piston and rod that I got out of the spare parts bin, Gen 4. And here are the rings, which I took off this piston. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check these, and then since I have all the pistons out anyways, I'm going to check them all, make sure they're all good, and then we'll start putting these pistons back in. Alright, so we're going to start with the second ring, this number 8 cylinder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in, but you don't want it right at the top because it could be, mind you, there is no ridge on this block at all, but sometimes if there's a ridge and you were to check it, then it wouldn't be accurate. So we're just going to take an old piston here, and we're going to try to push it down so it's nice and straight. This is actually the piston that I had to pull out after the too much boost, and it broke that ring land. And then we're just going to, this is 28 thou, and it's perfect. Okay, so obviously these rings are worn in good, which isn't always the case, so you should, I mean, really, you should check them, but a lot of guys, you know, they put the junkyard engines in without even opening them up, and they work good, so. Now this is the top ring, which is 26, and perfect. What I'm going to do is, I'm just going to check the rest, and then I'll come back, and we'll start installing. We're going to start with the one that was bent. I'm going to put that one in first. We got the rings on. You want to make sure all your ring grooves, like are opposite of each other, gaps. They're not all lined up. You want to make them, basically you have 4 different ones. You got this one, 2, and then on the oil ring, just make sure they're not together. We're going to put some oil on here. You want to put it in there all dry. A little bit on the cylinder. And then we got, Clayton actually made this, I'm sure you've seen it if you watch other videos, to install it. You can buy these from Summit, they're super cheap, best way to put pistons in. But when you've got a guy with a machine shop, or works at a machine shop, and he can make that stuff for you. Make sure the dot is to the front, and push her in, that's it. Slowly to the crank. Roll her over. A little bit of oil on the rod. Like that. And then explained the crack rods before. Yep, now it's backwards. Put that on. Make sure it's on the right way. Just give it a little light snug down with this. Like that. And we'll go to this one. All right, then we got number 7. So same thing. Make sure your gaps are opposite. Sometimes they're hard to see on the oil ring, but into here. See how nice that thing works? Any of those other ones, you struggle and struggle with them. There we go. And connecting rod. This way. They kind of look the same, but sometimes they're not. Alright, so that's 7 and 8. Now I'll throw in the rest and I'll come back once they're all in. Alright, so I got all the rods in, all snugged up, and now I'm just going to torque them. Instead of using an angle gauge like they say you're supposed to use, we figured that if it's just like around 50 foot-pounds is the same as, it's like 15 foot-pounds and then 60 degrees equals up to like 50 foot-pounds. So I usually just tighten them to 50 foot-pounds. So I'm going to use the old bendy. And we're going to tighten them to about 50 foot-pounds. Click. Spins over really nice. One more set, and we're set. Oh, that wasn't the torque wrench clicking, that was my knee apparently. Alright, so there we go. And I don't think that the piston will be hitting the crank anymore. So next thing we'll do is put the windage tray and the oil pump pickup and the oil pan can go back on. Alright, so we can put this thing on, and it says front, so we know it goes to the front. And then, excuse me, we'll put the pickup tube on because a couple of the bolts actually are what holds that on, plus the 10 mil that holds the pickup on. Grab the bolts. Okay, so here's the bolts. And I think before I put the oil pan on, I'll just give it a little cleaning. It's a little, drain the old oil out of it and give it a quick wipe down before I put it on. But let's get this stuff on, and then I'll do that. And I'm missing one bolt, one nut, of course. There's the 10. Oh, here it is. There's the last nut, and the 10 that holds the oil. The 13. One thing I liked about that pan that I put on my Nova is it actually had bolts on, like the bracket was able to hold on both sides. snug with the wrench to make sure they're tight. Or with the ratchet, I guess I should say. Since I don't know how good that battery is on that gun. And the 10 mil. Okay, so that's all back together. Now I'll just clean up the oil pan and then put the oil pan on. Alright, so I got the oil pan cleaned up. Pretty much just took it apart, gave it a quick wipe out, and cleaned all the old oil out of it. So it is ready to go on. I'm going to clean the outside once it's all bolted down. Now I just have to find the bolts, or get the bolts here. There's a bunch of them. Start feeding them in there. And if you're new and or didn't watch the videos of the S-10 build, which you should, this is a stock truck pan that I just cut down and re-welded, which was a nightmare, but at the end of the day it worked. It seems to be good, except you can see it, I mean, this truck has air ride, so it does lay right on the ground, and you can see it was hitting the ground a little bit there, but that's okay. There's the bolts. This one bolt, because of the turbo drain, it's right in the way of the bolt. Need a 10 mil wrench. Tighten this one kind of down first, and then we'll tighten the rest. But all in all, that's pretty good. I mean, it basically cost me nothing because I had the piston and the rod, which the piston I didn't need. The piston is still good. I can save that one. Just a bent rod, and this thing will be back together. Just buy oil, I guess, but it need oil change anyway, so no loss there. Uh-oh. That looks stripped. I hope it's just the bolt that's stripped. These big long ones. I don't know. Maybe the block's a little stripped there, maybe? Well, maybe. Well, I guess we'll have to look at that. Unless I can put a little bit longer bolt maybe in there. I'll have to kind of figure. The bolt looks fine, so it's not the bolt. So if anything, the block is a little stripped there. I mean, it's only one bolt out of a lot of bolts, so I'm sure I could probably just leave it, but it's also right where the oil filter goes there. So I'll have to see if I can find something. And there it is. That's the bottom end back together. Alright, so all I did there was just tapped it and put a like 9/16 or a 3/8 thread bolt in there. I just used the 3/8 tap on a ratchet, and it just screwed right in. And so it's all good now. So I don't know, that might have been even stripped before, I don't know. So it's a good thing that it's tight now. So the oil pan's on, so now we can flip her over, and next thing to put is the heads back on. All right, so I got the engine turned over, and you can see I have the head gaskets on, and in the previous video I put LS7 lifters and new head gaskets. So these head gaskets have only been on there for a couple months, and they're these ones, 5.7 HO 5.3 liter or whatever gaskets, multi-layer. So we're just gonna reuse them, obviously. And then there's the cylinder heads, the 243s. I just wiped them down quickly, and let's throw them on. Should actually grab one bolt at least so that they don't fall off. Well, let's make that 2 bolts. 2 bolts, and then grab 2 bolts for this side, and get this one. And there we go, they're on. Alright, so I have to go in because I have to work in the morning. So I'm going to leave it here, and then after work tomorrow, come out and torque these bad boys down. Alright, so it's the next day, and we're going to get these heads torqued. So once again, just like the rods, there is an angle, 20 foot-pounds and 90 degrees or something, but we figured out that that's like 65 foot-pounds. So we're going to go 65 foot-pounds. I'll probably go like 35 the first one. I'll do one at 35. I'll do the next one at 65, and then these top ones only get, I think, like 20, 25 or 22 or something. These ones definitely don't go as tight. So, and I wrote down the order, which as long as you kind of go from the center and work your way out. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then I can switch to the shorter one and do these ones, except I grabbed the wrong socket. For some reason I thought it was 11, but it's 10. No, I was thinking 11, but like I said, these ones don't get very tight. Only going like 20, and then maybe I'll go over them one more time. Okay, and then we'll go again. Really, I probably didn't need to do them twice because these head gaskets are used, but we'll go again. Oh, the engine is turning. Put the engine stopper in there. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, ones we'll just go over them one more time, but I won't really tighten them too much more because they don't really need it. All right, so now I'll repeat the other side, and then we can start putting the valve train stuff on. All right, so I got that side push rods in and rocker arms on. So now we will do this side. Push rods first, and yeah, I am gonna switch out the rockers with the ones in the Nova with the trunnion upgrade, but I'm not gonna do it right now because I don't really want to take the Nova apart at the moment because I don't know when that BTR shaft mounted setup or whatever is going to be back in stock. So that's just easy enough to change them later. One thing I like about this, it's all in one piece. Well, it's on one piece, but you can keep it together in one piece like that. Then we're just gonna use this. Then, these are supposed to be like 22 foot-pounds, I believe. So we'll just do the same. See, that's so crappy that gun is. It's not even like 20. All right, so now I'll throw the valve cover on and it's ready to go back in. All right, so I got the engine hoist set up. So what I got to do now is jack the truck up and then put it up on stands higher, and then put the jack under the transmission to hold the transmission in place, because right now I have a bar across holding it up so that it wouldn't fall out. So that's got to come out of there. And everything else in here is ready to go. So yeah, we got the engine on the thing. I just got to put the oil filter on, which is, this is the one I'm using on there, AC Delco one. And just put some oil in there to kind of pre-fill it. So let's jack this thing up and get the stands in there. Should work, I hope. Before I put it under the transmission, let's make sure that the engine hoist fits underneath the truck. Now let's jack this up. Got the engine stand hooked under the cherry picker here. this here. What I should have done is tried to fit the hoist in there without the engine on first, probably. But we're just going to send it and hope that it's good. Oh, the oil filter. And I can put that on after too. Mind you, if I have to move the engine or the oh no, I think we might make it. As I said, if I had to move the jack stands, I could. I think we're gonna be fine. Okay. Just let this down a bit. Alright. Okay, you stay there. Okay, so now we just got to get the floor jack under the transmission. Which is going to be a problem because the truck is too low now. Erg! As Charlie Brown would say. Yeah, I didn't take that part into account. So, I don't know. Okay, so I ended up putting a jack stand under the main front cross member. There's actually 3 jack stands holding it up right now. And by doing that, I was able to get the truck up high enough so that I can drop the engine in and get that tranny cross member thing out of there. So now it's time to start lowering the engine in. So I'll have to go in more carefully, turn. Okay, I gotta go down some, I think, first. There, and I can turn it down more. I'm about to rip my fuel pressure regulator off, which I should have tied up at the zip tie. Zip tie drags. There we go. Okay. Going in. Back more. Down more. Watch out for this bracket. Good. Down more. Oh. Okay, catching on something. Get this power steering bracket kind of out of the way this way. I took the radiator out too the other day, so that helps. Just hot. almost there. Almost lined up on this side. Maybe down a little more. And it's down all the way. I think I need to let the jack or the engine hoist down and then come forward a bit to like here so that the engine has a little more tilt to it. Come on, man, you're like right there. See what this side is doing. I'm like almost at the dowel on that side. Oh, I think I'm pretty much on the dowel on this side, it looks like. So then, it should just drop in, I would think. Maybe now it just popped out of there. Okay, now I'm on that dowel. And how are we doing on this side? Well, I think we're pretty much there still. Maybe I need to lower the transmission a bit. This has to come down just a tiniest bit. There. Except did the other side pop out now? Playing that pop out game. No? Okay. I think we're in, guys. I just need to find a bolt for the transmission and I'll bolt. Because I still have to, I'll still have to jack it up to put the engine mounts on. But I think we're there. Nothing's caught between the block and the trans. That's good. And I have one bolt in. Should have had this wrench pretty ready. Oh my God. Okay, so that's one bolt in. I think we're okay on this side. Yeah, it's in there. There's no bolts in it yet, but it's in there. And all this is okay. The fuel lines and stuff. All right, so it's in. I put the other mount, engine mount in. I mean, you're not really going to be able to see what I'm doing down here anyways, really, but I made these engine mounts, for those of you who don't know, so that I could put the engine exactly where I wanted to. Plus, they're cheap and I didn't have to buy them. And so far they've been really good. I haven't had any issues with them. And then as I say that, the mount won't fit anymore or something. See, I spoke too soon. I said, oh yeah. Let's just double check that. I wrote on the back side here, D with an arrow pointing forward. So that's how they go. That's the forward. Might just be where the engine is kind of sitting, or where I have it. Oh, there we go. Okay, now I got that one in. Or if I can jack the engine up a bit. Or it needs to go back a bit. Maybe back a bit. Maybe I should have bolted the other half of the transmission together. Let's see how that is. So I can see that the... Okay, let's see, how does that feel? These bolts should go in like butter. Oh, that's better. Okay. I got 2 of them in. Maybe I need to go up a little bit. Let's see if I can jack the engine up a bit. It don't want to go up so high, right? Third one in. I mean, there was no, I guess I could have made the mounts totally different than how they are. See, the transmission and the engine are separating from each other a little bit on this side. I think I need to get that top bolt in, so I'll go do that and then I'll come back. All right, so I bolted that transmission bolt in, the one that goes through the firewall, and now the mount fits no problem. So it was just that it wasn't quite where it needed to be. Now I can turn all the bolts with my fingers, so they're definitely where they need to be now. Alright, you get the idea. I'll come back when these are tight. Alright, so we got the mounts in. Now we just gotta wiggle it around a bit to get the bay bolts to hold it together. I think this one was pretty close. Looks like it's gotta go, this one's gotta go up a bit, looks like. A little bit more. We get a persuader. It's in there. Just needs to. Okay, so it's in there. Now I just got to get this one in, and then it should. Yeah, now the engine has to come down. Ooh. That much. Okay, that one is in. The other one is in, it's just not all the way through. But hopefully now that it's sat down there. it's just off by a tiny bit. I don't know if I need to go up or down. Get the hammer. What the heck? It's like perfectly in on the front side. Close. It might just be because I have the rubber mount still in the bottom, and maybe I just have to give it a little bit of, oh, maybe I have to just drop the bolt on the ground, and that'll fix it. Come on, you're lined right up, man. There we go. Okay, we're in. We're in. Take the hoist down. We got it. We got her in there. Alright guys, so that's it. The engine is in. So now, all we gotta do is put it all back together. But like I said earlier, that I want to plane or smooth out, I'll use that sander that I bought on the exhaust manifolds to make sure they're flat before I put it all back together. But if you want to find out if the bent rod was the tick, then make sure you tune into the next video where we'll get this thing all back together and running. So like always, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. We'll check you later.